And now I would like to give the floor to Екатерina Никонорова, an expert in IB education. So, Екатерina,
thank you very much. Yes, thank you.
Welcome.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, hello. And I remember about your question at the beginning of your session. And as for your question about contradiction between these theories, I can say that maybe differ from what we do in our inquiry-based learning and teaching. And I should say that in inquiry-based learning and teaching, and maybe I remind you that there are different stages of inquiry. For example, we have structured inquiry, we have guided inquiry, and then only if we can and our students can, there is an open inquiry when the students really find all information themselves and inquire into topics they are interested in. So I think that they don't contradict at all, but they maybe add each other, and we can try to combine it. And I should say that my session and my topic about Petr Galperin, it is really a good continuation of Vygotsky thoughts and Vygotsky works, and now I'm thinking, I think that I can start.
Yes, great.
Okay, so can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Right now, that is good. So, of course, I really want you guys to engage in our conversation, because it's not it's not a monologue. It's not just my speech about Petr Galperin. It's our conversation, because these are very, very serious things. And I think that my real and the most important goal for today's session is speaking about serious and very complicated things using simple words, and trying to give practice, and trying to share practice, and trying to combine practice and theory. Of course. Okay, so let me introduce myself. Yes, my name is Екатерина Никонорова, and as Elena said, I'm an IB educator, and I'm a workshop lead, I'm a BQC reviewer, and I'm working with IB for a lot of time. And but I should say that I'm a teacher, first of all, and now I work in Moscow City University as a teacher for magistrates, and I'm also say that I'm the founder of a community of brave teachers, self-expert, and I really hope that you can be the part of this great community. So I'm greeting you from Moscow, and really wish you productive professional development in this great conference. And I take part in this conference for the second time, and it's a great experience for me too as an educator. So many thanks to Elena for inviting me and for establishing this section, as we really have a lot in our national curriculum and our national education, which we can share with others, and try to make this effective exchange. So let's start, and I want to show you these three words here. Teacher, I will tell you what I mean. Teacher, Galpetia, and Rebia. Please write in the chat some words, maybe your thoughts, maybe your ideas. Why are these words here, and what do they mean? Maybe Elena have some thoughts about it. Maybe you guys have anything to add. Teacher, Galpetia, and Rebia. What is here? Why are these words here? What do you think? Elena, do you have any thoughts? Any ideas? Maybe Elena have?
No, I'm at a loss. I don't know. I don't know what Galpetia is, and I don't know what Rebia is.
Okay, maybe. Nick says something. Okay, I see the chat also. Helena asked if it's Petr Galperin. Yes, absolutely right. It's Petr Galperin. I don't really want to speak a lot about the biography. You can Google and you can find a lot of information about this great scientist and psychologist. But I really want to look at this person and his personal features, his character, from the eyes of his friends. Yes, you're absolutely right that it's Petr Galperin. Ребята, I said in Russian, ребята, maybe. Okay, but these are really nicknames of Petr Galperin, or maybe we can say like affectionate names of this great scientist and psychologist. And these nicknames were used by his colleagues and friends. These friends are were within the scientific school or maybe scientific community. And this school, you know about this, I'm absolutely sure that you know from the university, from maybe different studies, that this school was aimed at systematic approach, at activity approach, and all things that Lena said before in her session about Vygotsky, it's absolutely the same activity approach. And of course, as like many schools and also scientific schools, there are different participants in this. There were different participants in this school, and of course they had different roles. And now I pronounce some surnames that I'm absolutely sure that you know all of them. For example, Leontiev. Do you know this psychologist? Of course, yes. I'm absolutely sure that you know who Leontiev is. So Leontiev was a leader of this scientific school. He was an absolute leader. Another scientist was Zaporozhets, and he was the consciousness of this school. You know, another person, and his surname is Luria. Luria was a genius. He had a lot of ideas. And for example, Elkonin, you also know about this person. He was a scientific character. He was a temper of this school. But the teacher, and you can see this word, the first word on the screen, that the teacher was Petr Galperin. And when some of the participants of this community, of this scientific school, wanted to get some advice, and when they needed some advice, they went to Rebia. They say like, go to Rebia and find different advice from him. So it means that they should go to Petr, and Petr gave them not only advice, but he criticized, he gave recommendations, and it means, and I should say that he never pretended to be the leader, and he never pretended to get some leading positions, for example, in the university. And his colleagues needed to persuade him to become to have a leading role in the university, in the Department of Children's Development. So now we understand that this person was very, very constructive, and he made different things like, as I've said before, recommendations and different advice. And of course, I should say that Galperin wasn't famous only for his contribution to teaching and learning process and theory of phases of the development of mental actions. And I'd really like to recommend you to find his great scientist works that you can see on the screen right now. It's about study of attention and linguistic consciousness. And it's not, these works are not only for example, language teachers. They are absolutely for everyone to understand how a person learns, how he develops his mentality, how he develops his brain. And I can see a great comment in the chat by Victoria. Hi, let's start to work and train our brain. It's absolutely about Galperin's works, I should say. So Petr Galperin was born in 1902 in Tambov and died in 1988 in Moscow. And he was a really very, very great scientist, Soviet psychologist. But first of all, he was a really great teacher. And he could argue with his colleagues. He could contradict, and he could have absolutely contradicted comments about their works. But he was a great teacher. Moreover, and I will go on with his conceptualization and his great contribution to the process. And he describes learning teaching process, or how we say in Russian, обучение, as a type of psychological activity that is initially formed, and so on and so forth. You can see these words on the screen, but I really want to say, I really want to explain what it means. So when a child gets something in his hand, so for example, a pen or just a book, he perceives it from the course of social activity. So he thinks, okay, I have a book, what I need to read. It's absolutely very urgent and very fast reaction because he knows about it. He knows it from his background. But after he gets this book, he opens it and starts reading, for example. Now he starts perceiving this information. So his brain starts analyzing, of course, the context, the text, and so on and so forth. And now there is a great process which helps transform these material things, this tool, into the internal and psychological level. And a great contribution of Petr Galperin that he he understood and described and explicated, as you can see on the screen in 1952, the phases of the formation of learners' mental action. So how our brain perceives this information and how our brain transfers it into mentality, into some advanced levels. But all his works, all Galperin's works are based and are focused on a very important phase. I should say that it's the second phase, but he said it the first stage. It's orienting at a basic level. So it means that we build the phase when our student, when a learner, a person just learns what it is. And Galperin pointed out three types of formation, of building this base for next stages and for next phases. And you can see all of them on the screen. And I think, Elena, it's a good answer for your question. Does it contradict? No, it's not absolutely contradiction, because it's just, as I've said before, the continuation of this story and of this approach, and we can use all three types in different situations, in different cases, according to, as I've said before, according to the situation, for example, and according to your needs. So the first type, as you can see, is trial and error method, when the teacher gives students different tasks, and maybe he gives some models, but he doesn't explain anything. He just gives them an opportunity to react, and the students tries, they do their best to, for example, solve the task, to do the exercise, and so on, maybe to just to discuss, for example. And the students make mistakes, and it's good, but then after that they have some conclusions about that. The second type is absolutely detailed teacher's instruction, when the teacher explains, gives models, gives samples, and so on and so forth. And the students, using these models, these diagrams, they try to do according to this model, according to this sample. And the third type, it's about developing of students' agency, of students' choice, voice, and ownership, absolutely, when the teacher teacher doesn't give anything, just some provocation. And it's like in IB language, it's like an open inquiry. And this is a great opportunity to develop students' agency in this situation. And now I'm trying to give you some practical examples, and I want to react on the chat because it's like a quiz, you know. So we need to understand, we need to guess what type is it. So let's imagine that you enter the classroom and the lesson starts, and the teacher gives you a task. Please react in the chat, guys. And Elena, I think you are with me. I can see your face. This is
yes, absolutely. I'm with you.
Okay, so the task is, you should watch the video about mammals. While watching, you should make some notes about common features of mammals, then we should discuss, and then you get the blank with the description of a mammal. There are some gaps in this description. Using the previous conclusions from the discussion, from watching the video, you should fill in the gaps using these words, using your thoughts. What type is it? Trial and error method, teacher's instruction, or student's agency? So first, second, or third. Please write in the chat 1, 2, or 3, in your opinion. So we have some instructions. We have some resources. We have some exercises to do. Student's agency, Elena tells us, the third type, it's about development of student's agency. Something else? Elena also writes 3. Elena, do you have any ideas?
For me, it's really difficult to make the decision, because on the one hand, we have clear teacher's instructions that the students follow. First, watch the video, right? Make notes, discuss, and fill in the blanks. So I would say that it's the second type.
Maybe second type. Okay. So Nika also writes, it depends. And you're absolutely right. It depends. But let's compare with other examples, because I know the answer. I really know the answer. So let's go on. And next task. So the teacher writes on the board some words from a very famous poem and offers the students to discuss it in groups. In groups, of course. The students should talk about it and fix as many ideas, questions as they can, then discuss. Then the students try to predict the main idea of this poem, the author, and the title. Somebody tells us that it's number 2, the previous one. What about this one? It also depends. Doesn't it? So I think that we need to pay our attention to the first task. In the first part, in the previous task, the teacher starts with some videos, with some details and explanations. But here it is just some words on the board.
I think it's trial and error method.
It's trial and error method.
The word predict made me think so.
Yeah, okay. Elena also writes that it's number 2, but it's about the previous one or this one. I think it's about the previous. Okay, so maybe it's a trial and error method. And the last one. So the teacher gives the model which helps solve the task, explains all stages of this model, answers students' questions, and then another task with the same model and with the same resolving, but the students need to use this this model and solve another. Maybe some words are changed. We change some words, but not the task. So what is it? So Nick writes, as for me, I'd rather make it my own way. Neither of these alone suits me. Okay, why not? Of course, you can use, it's just my examples, and I'm trying to make a little, you know, like a quiz, of course, and maybe try to explain how these three types function and how we can use them. And if you look at this one, unfortunately, nobody writes anything. Maybe, Lena, do you have any ideas what type is it?
This one, I think it's teacher's instruction.
Teacher's instruction, yes. I really want to pay, to draw your attention to the first one. Let's return to it. For me, it's just trial and error method. Why? Because I think that we have some details of this instruction. We have some resources, as I've said before at the beginning, and students need to use these resources and to use their thoughts, and according to the teacher's instruction, they need to make some conclusions. And maybe they will make some mistakes, maybe not, but it's like trying to do something with offered resources. But the second one, I think it's about students' agency, because there are only some words and you need to do anything you want to with them. So that is why for me it's students' agency. But of course, as you said, so it depends. And the last one, for me, it's instruction, and I think that Elena also agrees with me that it's teacher's instruction when we have a model, we have detailed explanation, and so on and so forth, and the students only need to act according to this instruction and to this model. All of these things, they build a base for going on. And now we can see on the screen these 6 phases of mental actions formation, and here are 6, but on this in this diagram you can see only 5. But in the later studies, the first one is not only about orienting at a basic level, but also about engagement, so about motivation students, and who are working who work in practice with inquiry-based learning. We know that the first part of any inquiry is engaging students, is involving students into this inquiry. We need our main goal in this stage, in this phase, to motivate them and to provocate them to go on and to make this inquiry. So the second one, as I've said, it's about orienting at a basic level. It's our base, it's our fundamental base for going on with next levels. Then building Then acting at the material level. What it means? It means that a student learns how a thing or object or something that you study functions and what features it has. Teachers can use models, samples, diagrams, and student works with them slowly. And at the same time, the next stage turns on. It's about verbal level. So when the student acts, he tries to pronounce what he does. So what actions he or she do or they do. When a student pronounces these actions, he listens to himself and to these actions. His brain starts perceiving the information, and the perception level starts working. The next phase is acting at the mental level, and the student implements an action and say to himself what he does silently. You understand it? Yes, not orally, but for himself only. And at the last phase, orienting at a more advanced level, it is when a student has, an understanding now how to act and is aware of an action. And he tries to simplify the action, to make an action shorter, without any verbal level and so on. And it means that, it is called like a phenomenon of a clear thought. when we do it operatively, we do it like we understand what we do, I should say. Okay, and now about practice. Some words about practice. I'm watching the chat. Okay, I see the chat. Just a second, about practice a little. So I'm trying to combine this theory, this theoretical diagram into the inquiry learning cycle. Now on the screen you can see the inquiry, and there are 6 stages of inquiry cycle. If we try to combine these 2 cycles, we can understand how the brain works, and we understand how we can learn more effectively. How we can use this diagram in practice? We can use it in differentiated instruction. When we understand how the learner's brain works and how it functions, how it perceives information, we can use this understanding in construction of differentiated instruction for them. Of course, in teachers' feedback, of course, in the development of skills, and of course, in the whole teaching and learning process. So I think that I'm ready now, and a little bit, I'm trying to explain this. His works, Galperin's works, are really great, and they are worth to understand and they are worth to analyze. And I'm trying to explain this using simple words here, but here are some of my contacts from Telegram, from Vkontakte. You can join, and me, Yelena, and all of my friends, all of my colleagues, we share their different materials, different resources, and also about our national program. Thank you very much for your attention, and Yelena, thank you for inviting me, and thank you for your comments, really.